Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Desk. Chad here, Amy over
Amy
there.
here.
And today we're going to be talking about training with Sadie and then also a little about flights.
Yeah.
Hey there.
How's it going? Hola.
Hola. We got wired mics today.
We do.
So we've been doing wireless the whole time, and I lost my batteries for a little bit. Found them though.
You did.
But also, if we switch to wired, a couple
Yeah.
of things happen. It should be a little bit cleaner on the editing, but also we get rid of the whole wireless setup that's over here in the corner. So
That's great because all of those wires drive me crazy.
yeah, and you've been really patient about that. So you actually said something, and I think that's why.
Is it? There's a clue.
It was a clue, a nice little subtle hint.
So we do this on our dining room table.
Yeah.
And it's just the best place for us to be able to do this effectively.
Right.
But it's something on Saturdays or Sundays whenever I'm cleaning. And there's all these wires over to the side, and it drives me a little crazy.
Yep. So we'll be eliminating about half of the setup.
Oh, that's great.
Roughly about half of the setup. So, how are you?
I'm good. We're finished with Eminem.
Eminem's done.
Like we had to listen to a song. What song was it? I don't even know. I should know.
It's one of his early songs.
I mean, Eminem is huge here in Detroit because he's from here.
Yeah. I can see the video playing. Like I know the music video and everything.
You even got like right in the mic.
Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to be sharing that. We weren't recording that.
A little bit of that.
So we're gonna be talking a little bit about Sadie's training, which is going well. The things we're doing and how we're preparing for long haul, travel. And some of the things that we've been working on over last couple of weeks. And on top of that, we're also going to talk a little bit about flights, what we're learning about travel between the states.
It's not like you can just book a flight, right? It's not just like you just pick up and go.
No, things are a little bit different logistically. And we also want to make sure we're doing right by our animal as well as ourselves.
Yeah. Following all the legalities that have to be done.
Yeah.
She's relaxing right now. So good.
So let's kick off with training. So we're going to do our best. We've said it before. If Sadie participates in these, she participates in these, but we try to let her just chill. We're going to do our best not to drive her to be aware of what's happening over here, but we want to be clear about what's going on too. So let's kick things off with let's talk about a couple of the tools that you've gotten that are going to assist with her training.
Have assisted,
so she's a McNab, which means she's a Border Collie bred with another animal, sometimes multiple, to be a work dog. So she's super intelligent, and so she picks up on a lot of things quickly.
Definitely has husky in her.
But the other half of her is a very sassy part of this, very sassy breed, and so we battle with the stubbornness versus I know this, and then whether she decides she wants to participate or not. So, go ahead and kick us off with some of the tools that we've gotten. And
so I mentioned this one last week, I believe. So this is like it extends quite wide, and so this is what I call target training. And I started it out using this for her to bump her nose with it when I said the word touch. And as soon as she did that, I would click, and then she would get a TREAT. I cannot say that word out loud, or she's already at attention when I used the clicker there.
Right.
And then as she did better and better, and let's be real, she started out like biting this, like not biting, but she would put her mouth over it instead of bumping it. So as she got better, which this took 2 days for Sadie, she's highly intelligent. What gets in her way is her stubbornness or her acting like this is beneath me. I know what I'm supposed to do. Just give me the TREAT and let's move on. So in the end, we ended up with this being down by my leg. As soon as I said touch, she would bump her nose to my 2 fingers and this thing. They were kind of like covered up like this, so she could still see this and my 2 fingers, because eventually we're not going to use this. It'll just be my 2 fingers, me touching my leg and saying touch, and then she bumps it. This is her task.
Right.
This is what's on her paperwork. 100% Sadie has to be able to do this if I give the command, or not even give the command. I could really eventually be able to just touch my leg and her come and.
Right.
So if I'm asked what her task is, and then I have to repeat that verbatim, what it said on her paperwork, which now I have it copied onto my phone so I can pull it up and just read it to the person asking me. So I'm just using that as a way to train her. Actually, I don't even need to use that. After 2 days, I didn't need to use that, but a lot of dogs, you will need to continue to use it. Use that target training tool 2 to 3 weeks of training just specific around this one command.
And the thing is, it feels redundant.
Or
It feels
anchor.
like she's got it, but we still have to condition her that this is her
Correct.
task. It's not just about doing tricks. It's
Exactly.
about performing the duty.
The duty. This
Right.
is
And
her
so,
task.
yes, she is doing great, but here's the thing. She has to do it whether she wants to or not. And we have to exercise
And
that out
without a
of her.
TREAT being around
Right.
as
So,
well.
right. So she has to get into it where it's no longer food driven. It's now
Correct.
because that's her job.
This is her job.
Yep. You also got a kind of like a fanny pack for her.
Yep. It's a little treat. Shoot, a TREAT bag.
Yeah, which is her currency.
Shoot.
That's her currency. So that's what we
Yes.
pay her in. It can hold various types. So we have low level kibble and we have high quality, high level currency
Mm-hmm.
that she can get.
That's a good word.
Right. And what we inevitably want to get to is where she's given a command to relax and she actually does that. She is just at ease because that's going to come into play when we are on a 3 to 5 hour flight.
Yep.
And she needs to just literally stay there.
And so that word relax, that is one of her 3 keywords, target words that I've been working with her on. So there's under.
Mm-hmm.
So this is teaching Sadie how to come underneath my legs and lie down and relax. I want to be able to do all of that if I just use one word, but right now I'm having to use under, down, relax.
Yep.
But eventually I'll be able to just say under and she will come and complete that. This is going to be great if we're in restaurants or any place like that where Sadie can lay at my feet, either under my legs or at my feet,
right.
Especially on the plane. The other one is touch, where she touches my legs somewhere, wherever I am telling her to do that. And then the other one is...
Well, you're using down in between them. So it's touch, it's
down,
under, and relax are the 3 new ones. Down she already had.
Well, exactly. But I have to use down and relax right now along
Right.
with that under. Eventually it'll just be under and
Yep.
she'll know exactly what to do.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. And so then there's relax, where Sadie now she gets currency when she's just laying down and relaxing. But I can just do this and say relax, and Sadie will lay on her side. And we're working on getting that head all the way down. And she just started doing that as well. So and that's a lot
She's
for
going
a
through the
dog.
motions, but she's still alert. And the
Normally,
idea is she will eventually just be okay with
it.
Literally relax. Yeah.
Because she gets quite hyper when I get the currency bag out.
Right.
Quite hyper.
As expected with.
And dogs. You also challenged me yesterday to walk her. Like, it's time to go to work. Sadie, are you ready to work? Or just using the word work. And then that alerts her. She's on duty. And you had me walking all over the house. Like, I went downstairs. I was doing laundry. I had her waiting. So waiting is a simple command that she's known how to do for a really long time. Easy. Down is an easy command. Sit is an easy command for her. And so I was working with her with that currency bag around my waist with a little clicker that I have. Different from, it does the same thing, but it's just a different little clicker tool that I use.
Just a standalone clicker.
Just a standalone clicker.
Which we have 5 of. We have them in the car. We have them all over the place.
Yeah. And you encouraged me to make her wait. So instead of this repetitive task, command paid, to have her wait. And that is what's going to really help her learn how to relax and not stay so
and also break away from waiting for payment.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that worked really well.
Yeah. And I think that's going to help for the long run because, we are going to eventually have to go to busy stores. We're going to have to go to restaurants.
Well, her vest is coming in.
If we sit down for a meal, that's, 30, 40 minutes, an hour that she must behave.
Yes.
But also be working.
Correct.
right? It's purpose. So
Very.
she can pick things up very quickly, which is great, but there's going to be putting it all together
Yeah.
and also getting her triggered for it's time to work.
Hmm.
So this is a prolonged effort. This is not just a
Right.
quick payment. Um,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Those are great tools. I think tool wise, her vest is coming. She has a service dog leash,
I'll call again
which is
today.
all that's required. But
The
we do
service dog leash is all that's
but we
truly
d-
required.
but when it
Yeah.
comes to the public, we do want her to have a vest predominantly so that others don't approach
Hmm.
unnecessarily
Hmm.
because she is working. She
Hmm.
should not be. She's not there for vanity. She's there performing a
She might
task.
think she is. No,
Right. She's a little vain. Awesome. Anything else around Sadie, her trainings, or
and
her
just that
commands?
vest, we also like that vest. It has Velcro patches that we
Yeah.
can purchase different ones. It can say service dog in training. It can just say service dog. It can say please do not pet. You can add all the different things to
Yep.
alert the public, which is really important, especially with children. And we are about, as soon as that vest comes in, you and I are about to really hit it with her, getting her out in the public like she did before she got sick. So this won't be new to Sadie,
Yeah.
but it will be a refresher for her because she's been sick for 6 months.
And we're gonna be very persistent with
Diligent
her
and
doing what she needs
persistent.
to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so let's
It's a
chat a
lot of
little
work.
bit. It is a lot of work.
Twice a day, I work with her,
Yeah.
along with walks, and then the rest of the time she just gets to be a dog, so which is good.
And it wipes her out. It's a
It
lot of mental
does.
stimulation, so she'll nap for the next 30 minutes or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Hopefully longer so
Yeah.
I can get some work done.
Um, they say that dog sleeps 18 hours, 16 to 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
She does do that if we're working at home and we're both focused on working.
Yeah.
Um, but I think because of her breed and her connection with you, she is always aware of what's happening. It's not
Oh,
until you're in your office and like headphones on working that
she
she actually
actually,
like fully conks out
sure.
and comes off duty.
Or we're on the couch at night.
But she's still in a place where she can see. If I get up, she
She
knows what's happening.
does. She does.
She positions herself
Yeah.
to know where we are, what we're doing at any given time,
And she's so routine, Chad. She's like you.
which makes her poised to be a service animal phenomenally.
She knows exactly like the time that we always take her out.
Yeah.
I think she can tell time, but I think I don't know. I don't know what it is. But
Yeah.
when the sun is out here, she is on it. She has energy. She's got spring fever right now.
So she's about 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks away from being able to go
Really
out
run and
running.
go.
So that's getting very close. Cool. So
Yeah.
let's chat a little bit about flights and what we have going on around travel. So huge partnership end of last year between Delta and LATAM, which is Latin American. They're
Airline.
biggest.
Hmm.
They're like the Delta of Latin America, right? And they partner to bring a lot of travel options between the United States
Yes.
and Latin America. One of those strengthened partnerships is adding routes, and some of those routes are going to be direct to Medellin. And so, as it stands right now, if we wanted to book something, our options are Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Miami, Florida, or New York, New York. Those are the options to get a direct flight to Medellin. Now, in 2024, they're supposed to be adding Atlanta as a direct, and there was talks about adding Chicago as well. Now, we have family in Atlanta, so that means driving to Atlanta, dropping our car off for multiple months, and coming back and flying to the same place,
Right.
which is fine. That's not a problem. We've set ourselves up to be able to take our time with things, to enjoy the travel. But if they bring in Chicago, that's only a 4.5 hour flight or drive east of us. But the other thing that it is,
Yeah.
it's a 40-minute flight from Detroit to Chicago. So there's also the possibility of a short flight to Chicago, stay overnight, and then take our main flight the next day. So it's not too much in one day. We're gaining options. We're gaining
Yeah.
options that weren't available last year. And when we took our flight earlier this year, three flights, two layovers.
It was Just
bonkers.
bonkers.
So I love that we're gaining options. That also kind of alludes to a trend of Medellin being a place where people want to
Oh,
travel to
yeah.
more, right? And we're beginning to notice the power of the Colombian peso going up. We're beginning to notice a lot more um, development of high rises in Medellin and the surrounding areas, Envigado, Sabaneta, all over.
I would
So
say now in the next 2 to 3 years, if you are looking to buy property in Medellin, that's the time. That's the time.
it's very interesting what's happening.
It's
I mean,
incredible
and I think
in one way.
a lot of this is a byproduct. There's so many factors. I'm not saying one thing is one thing, but
Yeah.
you have an age group of the 40, 50s who were Gen X and millennials.
Mhm.
So they were the ones that had a work ethic of put in your 20 years and retire. But then we had a pandemic where everybody was forced to work from home
Yes.
or figure something else out. And when it came time to go back, a lot of people didn't want to. And so they started their own gigs, right?
And a
Which,
lot are doing great.
and a lot are doing great. But with that also comes the flexibility to work remotely and it
Yes.
be commonplace.
Mm.
Before, it existed, but it was very few that had the ability to work remotely. It was nowhere near the percentages of people that are able to now.
Agreed. And companies wouldn't trust. They
Right.
wouldn't have that trust to allow you to work
And
remotely.
I worked remote when I worked in the corporate, and I worked more, not more. I worked longer hours. I put more energy in. My lunch breaks were shorter when I worked from home.
Yeah.
So I was more productive working from home, but I also burned myself out. I would essentially get 10 hours worth of work done in 8, 9 hours.
Yeah.
Where if I was at the office, we're just shooting the crap around, and
Exactly.
there's no way you're getting a full day in.
Right.
Lunch breaks were an hour. You mosey on in, you run out to grab a coffee. In the summer, you run to Dairy Queen and get an ice cream. Like there's,
Just it's freedom. I think it's a type of freedom that
but I
you
guess I
have.
guess my point is like we worked harder, we produced more, and yet companies still believed that bringing you back in the office was the right thing to do, even though almost every vertical proved not only can you accomplish a job, but you can get more done
Mhm.
when you're not being, you
Right.
know, micromanaged.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about this
Yeah,
in our
we're going to be
next
talking about business
we're
next
going
week.
to
Yeah.
talk about business next week. But you are absolutely
It's
right.
very interesting, but all of this COVID stuff is a byproduct
It
of
is a
people moving
byproduct.
out of the United States because they can, working out of the United States because they can, and what's happening is the airlines like Delta, even American, are adding routes and making partnerships in places that
Yeah.
never would have been the case before.
Question.
Yeah,
Just thought of this. Is there something that I can put in my lap so that I can work while we're driving down the highway
is
for my
this?
laptop to put my laptop on?
Well, it's called a laptop. You could just store it in your lap.
I know, but it's going to wobble on my legs too much. I want
Oh,
something sturdy. Just thought about that. So if we're going to drive down, speaking of our travel
yeah.
down to Atlanta, because I think that's what we are probably going to do. We are able to leave our car with sister and brother-in-law, right? Safer. We know where our
There's
car
that, but
is.
there's also if they don't do in Atlanta this year, something gets pushed or it just doesn't happen, and we end up in Florida, we would then have to find a place down in Florida to store our car.
So just a storage unit or something where we could pull our car
Yeah,
in.
or like
That's not too bad.
so my dad, he works at the Daytona Speedway, so it's possible that
He does.
he may have a connection with some
That's pretty
place that we
awesome.
could just park it
Yeah. But
for a
either
few
way, we're
months.
driving a
We're
distance.
driving somewhere. Yeah.
We're
No, there
driving
is. There's
somewhere.
lots of things. They have, you could use a pillow. You could
I
use
don't want to use a pillow.
yeah, there's solutions. I'm sure
Just
that
makes your computer, the fan can't run underneath to keep it cool, right?
yeah.
Am I correct in that?
There's
So,
we'll find something.
okay,
I'm
great.
not worried about that.
All
Yeah.
right. I just
I'm more
thought,
worried about you wearing your band so you don't get car sick.
well, I won't if we're going straight, but it just made me remember when we were talking about working remotely, that there are so many, I don't know, great ways now to be able to work remote, that you're
Right.
not sacrificing the time, and then if I want to put it down, I can put it down. So we're going to get into that more, obviously next week, but it's such a great topic because you and I love what we do.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we'll dive into work a little bit more. But when it comes to travel, this is another thing I thought about maybe a few weeks ago. Um, You got you and I in the front seat.
Yes.
You got Sadie in the back seat,
Yes.
and we have a trunk
Yes.
that barely fits anything.
I know. I don't know
So
what we're going to
we
do.
already have a rack. We already have crossbars on the car. We're gonna have to get one of those giant
Oh, luggage
things,
things.
one of the
Yeah.
luggage things.
For the Subi,
We're gonna have to,
you're going to have to because we
because
have
if we're
this.
going for 3 months, it's gonna be more than just 5 sets of clothes,
Correct.
and there's gonna be things that are non-clothing related.
Yeah.
So we're gonna end up with as many as 4
Well,
checked bags,
I'll dress a little differently in Colombia. So
but also stuff like
take me
our
to Viva Envigado and I'm good.
you could go. It's just a backpack. You'll be fine.
I know.
But there's stuff that we have to bring. There's things that we have to bring. There's things that you can't purchase there, so we need to bring with us.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to check some bags.
3 months is a lot different than 8 days.
Very different.
So we're pretty excited about this. So really looking at, travel, and that's not just the airlines. That's literally getting in our car with Sadie, everything that we need, getting down there. Are we going to drive the whole way? Are we going to stop overnight? So these are all the logistical things that I don't know, in hindsight, you may think, oh, that's easy to do or whatever. But when you're actually planning it, a 3-month stay, there is a lot of planning that goes into that. So we want to make sure that, we're good to go for what meets our needs, for what works best for us and for anybody else out there. You obviously are going to do what works best for you, especially if you have a pet or kids.
Yep.
If you're going somewhere to travel with your little ones. And Medellin is a great place, by the way, for families. Contrary to popular belief,
Our
it's a
I
great
don't want to
place.
call it a backup airline, but our other airline, our alternative airline, still up there, is American.
Is American.
So American also does Medellin Direct as well. So we're going to keep our eyes up on both. We do have
Yeah.
a travel agent that is also assisting us with not only information, but we'll be able to handle our booking and our support as we travel as
Which
well.
is great.
So yeah, I mean, Delta's our primary. We've been, Delta forever. But American's also an option for us.
It is a great airline. American is great, especially if you're traveling with pets.
Yeah. So I think we have lots of options. I don't think we're going to have an issue with that. It's just once Delta opens up and we know whether it's going to be just Atlanta or Atlanta as well as Chicago, we're going to then begin making decisions on what makes the most sense for
Absolutely.
us.
So a little plug here.
South would be best because then
South.
the flight is shorter. Like leaving from New York or Chicago,
Yes,
we're
it's
talking
longer.
about a 5.5, 6 hour
Yes.
flight. Or if we're leaving from Atlanta, that'd be 4 hours. Leaving from Miami, that's 3 hours. So the further south we go,
The better.
the shorter
Or
the
even
flight.
from Fort Lauderdale is
Yeah.
shorter. Yeah,
So
you're absolutely right.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a little plug for everybody, just to let you know that April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. So the blue pinwheel, go buy some. Amazon has them for really cheap. Put them in your front yard. If you're a business, put them on your front lawn there. It's really to raise awareness around child abuse prevention and a courageous voice. That is exactly what we do. We work in schools and other youth serving organizations, and we teach kiddos K through 12 how to stay safe both off and online. And the pinwheel represents happy, healthy children. We would love for all children to be happy and healthy, both physically and emotionally and mentally, right? So how can we do that? Prevention education is key. So celebrate Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month in your state, wherever you're from. This is just in the United States, but I do know that most states have they do have programs going on around child abuse and neglect prevention as well. So that's my little plug. Oh, and our fundraiser is coming up. And even if you don't live here and you're from another state or another country, feel free to go to acourageousvoice.org/topgolf, and you can just give a donation, because every penny that you give, $5, for instance, gives our prevention education to one child. $25 is 5 children. $2,500, that's an entire school that we can get our programming into. So without you, this wouldn't be able to happen. So thanks for your support. That's my plug.
Yeah, it's coming up in just a couple of short
it
weeks
is.
here. So I'm excited to have one of our companies Ever After being a sponsor and providing a photo booth. We've connected with friends and family, and we're getting Boohoo support.
Yeah.
And fundraisers at Topgolf are next level. Their team handles all the
amazing.
logistics.
A lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Great food, but most importantly, really gives an opportunity for nonprofits who are lean to still be able to have a robust quality
Yeah.
fundraiser where typically all the things, all the entertainment, all of the decoration, all of those things are things that you would have to do and bring volunteers on to do. And Topgolf allows us to focus on the important part, and that's
Right.
get donors, get funders, and help people have an amazing time and give
Yeah.
back to
Yeah,
what
we're
really
going to have
matters.
Michigan State Representative Mike Harris there. So he's going to come and say a few words. He loves what we do at A Courageous Voice. And so we're really happy to have him. And our videographer, Brian Barrett with Ripsaw Media, will be there doing all the video for A Courageous Voice for our fundraiser. Our sponsors are going to be there: CNS Healthcare, Gula, CPA, um,
Oh, it's Sparks Behavioral
Sparks
Services.
Behavioral
Yeah.
Services with Dr. Stephen Sparks.
And we're expecting many more
Many
sponsors to
more
jump in
allow
too.
nourishment. So we have quite a bit going
Yep.
on there. We're super grateful for all of the partnerships and the sponsors. We can't do this without them. So
Love it.
that's it. Yeah.
Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit. I don't see it up here. What are we talking about next week? Oh, business. So next week, we're going to be talking about our businesses, some of the things we've adapted, some of the things we've learned, and
Yeah.
what it's really looking like as we shape up to make the shift of living in another country, but still serving our clients here in the US.
Yeah. That's it.
So
That is it.
awesome.
So yeah. So until next week, you guys have an extraordinary week and keep living beyond the desk.